This edition of MacVoices is supported by Macstock Conference Expo and the Midwest Mac BBQ, coming to Woodstock, Illinois on July 16 and 17. Join me, along with a host of great speakers, including Mac Roundtable members Victor Kayal of the TerraTech podcast, Adam Christensen of the MacCast, Don McAllister of Screencasts Online, and Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast. Learn more and register at macstock2016.com. And by Take Control Books, the answers you need now from leading experts. Learn more and download yours at takecontrolbooks.com. Welcome back to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community. I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're doing another recreation of a lost interview from NAB. For those of you who didn't hear the announcement on an earlier show or don't subscribe to the newsletter, I had some technical difficulties and lost quite a few interviews. So I'm slowly but surely trying to get some of those folks back, talk about what we talked about then, but you never heard it because it didn't work out. This time, I'm happy to have back to the show Sean McMullen and also Stefanie Mullen. Wow, I've got both of them in matching t-shirts, t-shirts no less. Guys, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's great to see you. Yeah,
it's great to be on here.
So we had a great discussion on the show floor at NAB, and only we got to enjoy it. So I wanted to go back and just revisit it a little bit and ask you what you had announced at NAB and anything that's new since then.
So we're really excited. We just started at NAB. We started doing Final Cut plugins. So we're taking our QuickTime effects and wrapping them in motion and giving them added functionality to perform in Final Cut for the Final Cut community. So we're really excited. We have everything from animated mattes to overlays, distortion effects. So we have everything. Then has a different sliders and affects the video. Unlike our QuickTime effects that you just overlay, these actually have like a sort of manipulation with the actual underneath video footage. So they're really cool. We're really excited about them.
So my first reaction to that was that obviously it's great as someone who uses these things to have just a little more control instead of saying, okay, there's one level and that's it. But at the same time, I guess the part of the beauty of that for me at least was that that's what I was doing. I got this and I applied it and that was all. Are there any specific advantages other than just being able to tweak the degree of effect that this approach gives you?
There's different things within each different plugin themselves. The way, like for the style mats, for example, we have drop zones put in there, so you can actually use the mats and then just easily drop in video. You don't have to do any matting yourself inside Final Cut. It's a lot easier for users to use the drop zone itself and actually contain the video within. Like you can have 2, 3, 4 multiple videos inside of a mat, where if you just did the overlay, you would be having to mat that out yourself. We also have some stuff like for our distortion effects, we have actual displacement happening. So when you put the distortion effect on top and you displacement it, you're actually affecting the video underneath, which is something that the overlay doesn't do. We also have everything from hue and tint and opacity, color balance, all that stuff still in there as well. Stuff that you could do with the overlays before, but having that added stuff, and we have glows and things that Motion has built in and adding to our effects is a really cool and neat learning process for us to find out exactly how we can give you more functionality for Final Cut users that you don't have just with the regular QuickTime movies.
Sean, do you, as hard as you work at creating those mats and those effects, do you kind of resent giving up that control or giving more to the user, or is this something that Steph talked you into?
No, our users talked us into it, but the funny thing is, and I'm going to put this out here, not that I may or may not have insider knowledge, but I guarantee you that at least one of the other big editing software applications is going to follow suit. So many editors like this functionality and like to be able to do these kinds of things. Well, and it's not just like what we're doing, but to be able to harness the power of Motion inside Final Cut and never touch Motion. There are other companies out there who are trying to do very similar things. They're constantly telling me we're this close, we're this close. So I think it started a trend, and I think you're going to see that where, let's be honest, I would say, maybe less than 10% of the people that we sell to actually are using After Effects on a daily basis. Most of these people are actually very scared or just don't want to bother to learn it. It's just another thing they have to learn. It's just there's a lot of people who don't want to have to go to an animator or a compositor. They want to be able to do it inside their editor, whether it's time or just not wanting to learn the software, whatever it is. They don't want to leave their editing app. So I think we're all going to lean that way. So doing this to Final Cut, doing this to our Final Cut plugins, that's fine by me. For me, I stack the QuickTimes and I make my own, but I think I'm in the small percentage there.
I think you just hit on a lot of key points. I know when I first started to learn Final Cut, I took a quick look at Motion and thought, well, first of all, I don't have the time to do the learning curve, and second, there's really nothing over there that I need. And then I wised up and realized, yeah, there's some stuff over there that I needed or could definitely use or definitely wanted. So now I've learned about going back and forth, at least some of it. Not obviously, I'm more versed in Final Cut than Motion, but I'm working on Motion. But the idea that you might be able to do some of the work for me and anticipate some of my needs and make it so that I don't have to go through that learning curve. That's I think a really interesting point.
Let's all agree that there's more of a need for content now than there ever has been, and that will continue. That's never going away. The content is coming fast and furious. We're getting hit with data nonstop, and salaries and budgets are getting slashed. You're not making as an editor what today as what you were making 10 years ago across the board. I'm sure there's some editors right now going, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I got money everywhere. That's few and far between. So speed, efficiency, and quality are important. So if you have to make a video in 2 to 4 hours, why can't it look good? So there's no reason to have a bad looking video. So if we can help you achieve that just by simply dragging and dropping, we've done our job.
Yeah, and we all, listen, let's face it, we all like to play with the effects. I mean, there's no question about it. I think you have to learn, just like you did with fonts. That's our favorite example, that when we first got fonts, everybody wanted to lay every font they could onto a page.
Yep.
And the same thing happens with effects. And you learn, you go through that process and you think, boy, isn't that cool? And then you realize, maybe not,
Right.
And you learn how to be a little more subtle with it. And the fact that maybe by using some of your stuff, I can get those effects, but I'm also guided a little bit toward making sure they aren't too much or too many or too intense, unless I really want them to be, and then I have to work at it.
Right. Yeah. We subscribe to the thought that you have to, everything that you use as a plugin or an effect has to default to awesome. Nobody has time to play with parameters to make it look good. Everything should start at a certain good looking level, but you're absolutely right. This is like cooking. A little bit of spice goes a long way. You don't need to dump all 50 spices on your plate. Obviously that's not going to work. And we've had people call us, go, look, I used every single transition in your volume on this one video. And we're like, cool, but not the idea,
One of my favorite things to do is take the quotes of people from on the show and just say, that'd make a great T-shirt, and that would make a great T-shirt. Default to awesome. That's really good. That could be a business slogan. Wait, maybe I'll go write that down.
Should, yeah.
Steph, this is though Rampant's first venture into plugins, is it not?
It is, yes. We've always been platform agnostic up until the start of, we're doing actually not just Final Cut, but we also have some stuff for Adobe as well. So we are trying to give, like Sean was saying, we're just trying to give more functionality and make it the editor's job a lot easier so that they can spend less time creating and more time doing other stuff because they have 10,000 things. I mean, I think most editors now are doing motion graphics and visual effects, and they're doing everything together. So if we can save you time, that's why we're creating these plugins. And I mean, people are just loving them, and we're getting great feedback from our community. So it's nice to be able to hear that and keep making more. And we have a new overlay product coming out. So we have a plan on getting out probably 100 more plugins by the end of the year. Hopefully, that's if I can crank them out fast enough. They're not the easiest things to do, and there's a lot of work. And so I'm just hoping that we can just make editors' lives easier. That's our goal. So that's why we've kind of gone this way, and we've heard from people, and we finally were like, okay, we'll do it. You want it, we'll do it, and we did. So that's what we did.
Yeah, people that are well versed in this stuff understand. I didn't for a while, and then I figured it out, that so many of the plugins you buy, you could do these things yourself in Motion. Yep. If you took the time, and yet it's really tempting to throw down X number of dollars when you start balancing that against your time to say, I really need that effect, and I need it right now. I don't need 3 days from now when I figure out how to do it. But so it's you're right. It's not necessarily easy to figure it all out, but it also makes it very approachable. And if you want to learn it, then you can deconstruct the plugins a little bit in Motion and figure out how you did some of the magic.
Yep. Yeah, it's really nice. I really like that part. We're not trying to hide anything from anybody. We're not trying to keep anything a secret. They're there for you to use as a Final Cut user, and you can right click and open in Motion and look at everything and see everything and play with it. Even you can then go change it yourself if you desire to add more parameters or whatever you want to do. If you start getting dabbling into Motion, the possibilities are really endless. We're just giving you sort of a platform to start from so that you have this basic stuff and even some cool stuff in there on the plugins as well. So just we're trying to, like you said, anticipate what the user needs, and then hopefully if they need something else, they can go in and then add that to the to the plugin themselves later on down the road. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's cool software, and I've actually, when I first got into Motion, it was very difficult and it was very hard to learn, and I've actually fallen in love with it, and I think it's a great program. So I'm happy, and I like getting in there and learning new things. It's kind of like a big puzzle, so it's fun.
Yeah, every time I sit through a Motion tutorial, I learn something, and I also start to appreciate just how deep this program is.
Yep.
And how much there is to learn if you're willing to take the time or have the talent or both, which I probably don't have either one. So how are you selling these the plugins? I'm thinking specifically. Are you bundling them, or are they available on a one-off basis?
They're available on a one-off basis. They come right now. We have HD FTPX plugins, and there's 40 effects in each volume. So you're getting 40 total in each one, and then they're priced really good for editors. We have them priced at $29. So like right now, we have a spring sale going on, so you can get 50% off that. So you're looking at $15 right now, or $30, and that's so we're not trying to gouge the community. We're not trying to price these at a point where they're not attainable. These really are tools for you to use for Final Cut. So we've tried to keep the numbers in a place where people are happy. They don't want 100. We heard from people, we don't want 100 effects. We want a smaller number so that we can manage it. And then especially with the Final Cut plugins, now those 40 effects can be 80, double, triple. If you start manipulating with the sliders and stuff, those effects can be unlimited. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, the excitement shows. Obviously, it did at NAB as well. This is sort of not a new direction, but a new line for Rampant. To broaden things out a little bit. Do you have any wisdom when it comes to your products? And I mean, the demo reels are great. They show the effects and all that. But do you have any wisdom about how to go about learning to use these things in the tasteful manner we talked about, in the creative manner, as opposed to the garish approach that I might take?
I think you do just fine. I think the first thing is to try a little bit of subtlety. A little bit goes a long way. Gordon Ramsay is always talking about keeping it very simple, and that's a great way to look at things. Just start with a little bit and then go back and see if you need to add more. Remember, it's all still about telling a story. We're spices, and it's great, but at the end of the day, you're still telling a story. You're developing content. So if your effects are taking away from that, or you're distracting the viewer, then you've actually done yourself a disservice. So roll back the video and watch it, or show it to somebody who's not video inclined. Show it to a random person. Show it to your spouse. Show it to your neighbor. And if they're like, "Wow, there's a lot of weird things going on," at that point, okay, perhaps maybe I shouldn't have 240 effects. We actually had a person post in our user group, "I used 187 effects." Boy, I hope it's a 4-hour film, So it's cool. People get excited, and that's great. But you just watch some of your favorite shows and watch some of your favorite movies and music videos. There's a time and a place for everything. Music videos are hard hitting and flashy. Sports videos the same. But if you're doing a documentary about someone's journey, a little bit of light leak is great. But you really are supposed to be focused on that person's journey. So if you're trying to make up for some bad footage or just add some style, that's great. But it's more important to learn about that person than it is to go, oh, hey, wow, that must have been rampant effect number 47. And, I've seen it 11 times now,
Yeah, and even music videos, I've started to appreciate what it goes in, what happens in music videos. That okay, they may use a garish style or a very very garish, very intense style, but they only use one, maybe two. They don't mix and match a lot. They just say, okay, that's the look I'm going to have for this, and if it's a purple filter with green specks, then that's what it is. But it's throughout. And I think that's something that all of us don't always appreciate. You get so wrapped up in, well, I want to try this, and I'll have the next scene look like this, and it's like that's not the way to go about it. No,
continuity is important.
Yeah,
and I think over time you start to develop your own style, and whether you're using our effects or somebody else's plugins, that becomes incorporated into your arsenal, and then you start developing your own look, and you'll find yourself only using 3 or 4. I mean, I do in our library. I develop for as many different looks as possible. But when I'm editing with our stuff, aside from the demo reels, which are designed to show you as much as possible, when I'm developing content for clients or for us, very simple, very subtle, 1 or 2 effects, constantly used, so it has a decent look, and it's there just for a nice little added spice.
These are Final Cut plugins that we're talking about. Sean, the other things that you produce can be used with pretty much any NLE. Do you have any intent of taking the plugins and moving them over to the Adobe side or to any of the other NLEs?
Yeah, like you said, from day one, all of our effects have worked with everything, and they fly in Final Cut because they're ProRes files. However, ProRes editors are very demanding about how they wish to work, so that's why we developed the plugins. It's great. There's the functionality there, so you might as well use it. Because of that, Premiere editors are starting to see and go, well, hey, whoa. It's almost like you have that thing. Now, I don't want to switch to Final Cut. I'm talking about the proverbial editor. We get a lot of the I hate Adobe or I hate Apple, blah, 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 whatever. It's at the end of the day, a tool is a tool. But they're looking across the border and going, So yes, I am in the middle of developing a preset and a set of plugins that will allow you to get something similar. But I truly believe that there's been enough noise that I think Adobe is going to add that kind of functionality to their software within the next couple engineering cycles. That's just a personal opinion, but there's just so much noise that as a competitor, if everyone's like, oh, this is the greatest thing that this thing does, and you don't have that thing, as a competitor, you should probably go, okay, we'll just put that thing in here, and people will gravitate towards it.
Yeah, and there are few things more frustrating than saying, okay, there's something I want, and it's not available on my platform.
Right.
Whatever it is. And so, and can I really afford to go over and spend the time and the money to acquire that platform and start to use it there? And often the answer is no. You go somewhere else,
right?
Or settle for something other than maybe your ideal,
right?
So, what else has happened since we saw each other at NAB? Has this been just a big project, or Steph, have you been locked in the in the studio working on cranking out motion?
We've been doing that. We actually just started Rampant Live, which we're really excited about. We do every Tuesday and Thursday. We talk to video professionals in the industry, and we just sit down for probably 20, 30 minutes at a time and just have real talk with these editors. And we do it every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. And it's just, I think we have one tonight, and we're really excited. I think we're on our 4th or 5th that we've done. And it's just last Tuesday we had Walter Biscardi on, and it's just fun to talk to these individuals who we know, but to get to share their experiences and their stories and what they've gone through to get to where they are and where they're going, where they see the video industry going in the next 5 to 10 years. And it's been a fun show to do with us. And it's on a thing called Blab. So it's actually live, and you can write in and call in. And so it's real interactive, and it's just been fun. That's been probably the funnest thing that the newest thing as well that we've been doing. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so
first of all, 9 p.m. What time zone?
Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, I want to make sure we got that right. I know about Blab, but I have not played with it. I've looked at the website and then moved on. Is this audio and video, or just audio?
Yes, it's audio.
Yeah, imagine a Google Hangout or a big Skype session that also has real-time chat. And people can call in and dial out. It's super interactive. You've got people on the right-hand side typing in questions. You've got up to 4 people in the middle talking in real time with video. It's really cool, and the software is free. It's just, we decided to do it because every single person who works in video has a very unique and interesting story. We're all on similar paths, but they're vastly different. So it's really interesting to humanize what we all do, because you talk to people on Twitter or not, and some people are maybe a little intimidating, or you don't know this person or whatever. This humanizes everybody, and you're like, oh, this is an actual real human being. And it's not just video. We talk about everything. Walter talked about life, transitioning from being an editor to running a business, cruising, cats. The conversation is, there's no agenda. It's just whatever it is. It's very loose, very unorganized.
It's what happens here. It's kind of surprising to find out that these people that you have up on this pedestal are just really people like you. They have this, they finish with you, then they got to go cut the grass.
Exactly.
You would think that they must have a staff to do that. No, they don't. They're just normal people. Yeah. Is Rampant Live then available after the show or offline or any of that?
It is. All of our shows are up for replay at rampantlive.com.
Excellent. All right, folks, more stuff you got to go and see and watch, because they don't get any better than Sean and Steph. And I'm sure with I think I saw something pass by on Twitter once about Rampant Live, and then I didn't go back. So I'm so glad you said it. Now I've got stuff to do, and you may see me tonight. Who knows?
That would be fantastic.
That'd be great.
So where do we send folks to learn about all this, get the plugins, and see everything else that you're doing?
You can go to rampantfcpx.com for the Rampant plugins, or rampantdesigntools.com, and then we have rampantlive.com as well. Or you can find everything on rampantdesigntools.com. So everything's sort of consolidated there.
Excellent. Hey, it's great to see you both. Thanks so much for the time at NAB that the folks didn't get to see, and for taking the time to do it again here. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us. We love talking to you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do it again.
All right.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices, Rampant Live. Go check it out. And definitely, if you're into video editing, or who knows, maybe this will get you into video editing, go check out the Rampant stuff. You'll love it. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes, links to subscribe, and to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud, the MacVoices blog, the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, and on MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard that helps you do more with your Apple tech. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.